Welcome, all keen readers and all those that aspire to be an author. Welcome. Well, maybe you already are. You're welcome too. Maybe you've done 20 books, 50 books. This show's for you. It's called Nothing Like a Good Book. This is the launch today of the whole new bit, and the new website's coming out very soon. Nothing Like a Good Book. It's dedicated to you, authors. And it's about discovering your book, and promoting it. And God willing, we can sell some books too. Get them out of the garage, right? Come on, I'm joking. Now, this episode is something special because I haven't had a gentleman with his talents like this before on the show. I'd love to know more about, the authors have lives too, and they've done wonderful things in their lives. All of a sudden, they're not just sit down and write a book. They're going to get to his book. It's very unique. But I want you to meet the man. And for this episode, he's a world-renowned pianist. Now he's an author, of course. Celebrated for his exceptional ability to blend classical technique with improvisational brilliance. His performances have graced some of the most prestigious concert halls around the world, and his recordings have resonated with music lovers across generations. He knows his stuff, right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am so pleased to introduce to you John Bayless. Hello, John.
Hey. How are you?
Oh, I'm as fit as a mallee bull and twice as dangerous.
No, I'm just happy to be here. This is just a great thing.
Mate, I reckon you'd be able to tell so many stories sitting down around the fire one night. It would be interesting. I'd love to hear about your career. I mean, it spanned decades around the globe. And just this is the interesting part when I was reading about you. You were a child prodigy.
Yeah.
But you never learned music. You learned to play by ear.
Well, I played everything I heard by ear. And fortunately, I have had a mother that was very disciplined, and she's a musician herself. And I didn't want to learn how to read music. It took 3 years for me to learn how to read E, G, B, D. Just all of this stuff. And but my mother said to me very early, I was like 4 or 5, she said, "You'll never be able to play any better than you do right now if you don't learn to read."
Well, there you go.
And there you go.
And she was right.
Yeah.
Now, you have mesmerized audiences worldwide. Unique interpretations of classical and contemporary music. What made you go down that track in the first place, John?
Well, I always kind of did that. It's a funny story. I was a church organist when I was 15 years old, and I would play the prelude or play in the offertory, pieces like "Devil with the Blue Dress On," or and in the style of Bach. So. And all the kids would raise their hand in the back of the sanctuary if they got it. And I ultimately went to Juilliard, of course, and I got an offer to do a recording when Bach turned 300 in 1985. And I did this record called Bach Meets the Beatles.
Oh, okay.
They asked the recording company, said, "Can you play the music of the Beatles in the style of Bach?" And so I told my mom I was going to do that, and she said, "That's no big deal. You did that when you played Hey Jude in church and got in trouble." So there's it's just very natural for me, and that was my hook, so to speak.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, it earned you critical acclaim and a devoted following, right? Yeah. All these years.
You said it. Did you say diverted or perverted?
It would seem that your journey really has been one of passion, resilience, and what else would I call it? Artistic evolution.
Right.
So, right. I think you'd agree with that, wouldn't you?
Yes, sir.
When you plan a concert, how do you choose and combine older classic pieces with newer contemporary works? I mean, what kind of experience do you hope that you're going to create for the audience? I guess it's by blending these different styles.
Well, the thing is that if someone, when they hire me, they book me to play a concert, we discuss the program, because I'm not playing Beethoven and Chopin and Prokofiev and all that stuff. I'm playing my stuff. They hire me because I'm doing more contemporary things, like combining and with classical. So I will do a set of Bach meets the Beatles, and then I'll take suggestions from the audience. I'll ask for their favorite song, and somebody will say in the style of Scott Joplin, or in the style of Gustav Mahler, or the style of, Beethoven, and I do a bit like that, and then end the show with. My first number one record was called a Puccini album, where I took the arias of Giacomo Puccini and transcribed those for the piano. And I will play 3 or 4 of those pieces. Nessun Dorma, O mio bambino caro.
Ay, ay, ay. What I read was your playing involves both traditional classic skills and modern techniques, like using now, I don't know, I've never heard of this before, a prepared piano or electronics. Now, of course, I don't know if you wouldn't use electronics. How do you manage to master and switch between these very different, varying ways of playing?
Well, in 2008, I suffered a stroke, and I lost the use of my right hand.
That would be devastating to a pianist, surely.
Yeah. And
sorry you went through that.
And so I had to relearn, and if I wanted to play, I actually didn't even want to play again, because it was just too, I could do anything I wanted to at the piano. I could play fast, slow, but the only I could express myself the way I wanted to.
Right.
But then all of a sudden it's turned off. It's like God shuts the light off, and there's no more. Well, what was easy and to me simple, not simple, but just like breathing, it was completely different. So there was a period that I had to adjust, and how I got back to the piano is, I was a Steinway artist, Steinway pianos, and Henry Steinway, the great grandson of the founder of Steinway and Sons, was a friend of mine, and he asked me to play all the time for him, and he passed away, and the family called and said, "Can you play for Henry's memorial service?" And I said, "Don't you know, I had my stroke and I don't even touch the piano." And, "Well, can you think about it? You've got a couple of months." So I thought about it overnight, and I decided that I could, because I literally heard Henry. I mean, he was the sweetest man. He said, "Get on with it. You've got work to do." So
you did it.
That was my deal. And so
I don't know how. I don't know how you did it. How did you get back to playing?
Yeah, well, it's
very difficult.
Yeah.
Well, before we've got to get into the book, okay? But I want to ask you one last question. As a classical contemporary pianist, you have really helped to shape, the future of music. How do you work with living composers to create new pieces? And what do you do to help music reach and connect with more people? Are you sort of trying to pass your craft on?
Well, I love pop music. I love every kind of music, with the exception maybe of heavy metal. I don't particularly like it. But when I hear something that really touches my heart, or that makes me want to go to the piano and play it,
right,
that I know I've got to do something. So, I'm doing stuff with Coldplay and um, Joni Mitchell and just great songwriters, and so that's what feeds my musical soul, so to speak, these days.
Amazing, amazing. Now, all of a sudden, one sits down and says, maybe it was locked away, but I've always wanted to write a book. Has that been the case? Has it been hidden for years, or is it more now like a memoir, an autobiography that you've decided?
I would say it's more of a memoir.
Okay. Well, the name of the book, One Hand, One Heart, My Life, My Music, written by John Bayless, pianist, composer, and recording artist. That's the cover of the book. A very nice shot.
Thank you.
Is that a Steinway?
No, that's a Yamaha. There's a story. There's a story.
All right, yeah, please share it.
Okay, well, so Henry passed away, and I played for his memorial. The company completely changed, and a friend of mine who used to work at Steinways, she went to Yamaha, and she thought that the technology that Yamaha had with an instrument called the disc clavier would help me, where I could record the right hand part with my left, and play it back, and so I would have two hands again.
Right.
Using okay.
Yeah,
so
interesting.
yeah, so I did that, and I'm doing that, and I'm working with Yamaha now. So
Interesting. Straight away, I had a flash of a recording studio where they do all the mixing and so on.
All right.
And they often do the independent, instruments before they mix.
Right.
And or they play it all together. But there's different ways that they do it, or they want to add a piece. And you technically you've done the right, and then you can add the other. So
yeah,
they're really clever. But the book itself, the triumphs, the struggles, and the moments of inspiration that have shaped your career. Give us some dirty down under. Tell us some incredible stories overseas. Where did you play? These coliseums, thousands of people?
Yes, Rome.
Oh, lovely.
But the Barbican Center in London, and in Germany, and Cologne, and Munich, and Japan. I've done 4 tours of Japan, and they have some of the greatest concert halls in Japan. I must digress for 1 second. The title of the book, One Hand, One Heart, is, for those that don't know, is a song from West Side Story. And Leonard Bernstein was my mentor. So it seemed to be the appropriate title for this book, because he coached me, helped me, inspired me, and I have one hand now and one heart. So that's the title of the book.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. One hand, one heart, my life, my music. Tell us what you share in this book that people are going to get. What are they going to walk away with?
They're going to walk away with the feeling of not giving up. I've had other trials, physical problems as a child, 8 major operations, and 8 on my kidneys and bladder. And
how old were you when you had this?
Like 5.
Oh, you poor little devil. Yeah.
And
a tough time.
If I didn't have music, my doctor said I would probably not be here. So the music has been a savior. It's been
the music of the angels brought you through.
Yes, sir. Amen.
You were meant to do it, mate. You were meant to do it, to become famous, do what you do, go through the struggles, learn what you had to do.
Yeah.
And now you poured it all out into this book. Is it a good book, do you think, for giving as a gift?
I'm sorry?
Do you think the book is a good gift? Be a nice gift?
It's a great gift. It's a great gift. It's a lot of funny stories, touching stories. My experiences in New York when I was going to Juilliard and living in New York City for 30 years, 28 years actually,
Right.
and anecdotes and pictures, and when I played with Rosemary Clooney,
What was she
Liberace,
like? What was she like?
Mama Clooney. She was unbelievable. And what would happen was that she would be booked, and I would be booked at the time, and she would come out and sing like a set of songs, like her first set. Then she would bring me out, and I would play either with orchestra or or solo, and she would sit at the end of the piano like a doting grandmother. And then after the concert, we would go to her room, her hotel suite, and have hamburgers and fries
Oh,
and vodka.
hamburger, fries, and vodka. What a combination. Tell you what.
Why not?
Well, hey, that
She
was
was
good.
she was the best.
What about some overseas experiences? Share a couple of those with us. Things that may have been. Were you ever scared? I mean, I often wonder with performers who travel the world at your league when you're going to do a show tonight. Thousands are coming. They've paid to see you. You want to give your best performance. How do you feel? Did you sleep all day? Do you get up and go touring and visiting? Do you?
No.
What do you do before a show? What was your
Okay.
routine?
My the experience that I want to just say that right off the bat was when I played in Carnegie Hall, and I was 25, and
Oh,
I played with orchestra, with the New York Orchestra, and Rhapsody in Blue, and the other piece was a concerto, a piece that I wrote for that occasion. And I thought I would really be freaked out walking on the stage, a great stage of Carnegie Hall, where legends of
yeah.
everybody in
The infamous Carnegie Hall.
yes. But it's when I walked out, it was like the spirits coddled me or helped me. I didn't. I felt it was totally a warm experience. I don't remember being nervous. That I was more anxious, more excited. To be making a debut there and playing Rhapsody in Blue with the orchestra and this new piece that I'd composed for piano and orchestra. That was very exciting. Some of the sometimes. I did tours with Rhapsody in Blue and the Royal Liverpool Philharmonic from England. We did 20 concerts up the East Coast, and the conductor made me really nervous. He was fidgety and not the easiest man to deal with.
Right.
And I remember the first concert that we did together. We tried out the shows in Liverpool and Newcastle, and I had flown 2 days before, and the jet lag was really bad.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't get to sleep. I didn't get to sleep the night before the show.
Right.
And so we go to the theater, and he starts Rhapsody in Blue, and he starts taking it at this lightning speed tempo that is like it's insane.
Yeah.
Insane. And so I'm like not firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, right. Hey, dude, what are you doing?
This entrance, supposed to come in with this part, and it's just like the train has left the station.
Yeah.
He turned around and looked at me like I had lost my mind, which I really had, sort of. but fortunately, with my talent or whatever you call it, I was able to catch up, no problem. And so those kind of things,
it sounds like this because I haven't had the privilege of being able to read the darn book. One, I never got one, but two, I have to skim through usually with the ebooks because I just don't have the time as a one-man, a company runner to read every book that comes in, much as I'd love to. But I read them afterwards. That I think, I may have interviewed a little differently, but I read as much as I can from information and research online, whatever. And but now, one hand, one heart. If I was to ask you, I mean, you're not in it for the money, Well, I'm not assuming, but I mean, it makes an ass out of you and me. But at the end of the day, I think you more really genuinely, from what I've read in other stuff, you want to share this. You want to help people.
Right.
Would I be right? Okay. So what do you want them? I mean, what's the book's about? Stories. It's not all about, boring, the night outs after what we did or anything. It's a big mix, right? Explain to us the diversity of it.
Well, the diversity of it comes from actually my life. I was born in Texas in a rural part in a town, 15,000 people. My mother was a singer and played piano. My father sold cars. He was an automobile Ford Lincoln Mercury dealer.
Right.
I was very well known, of course, in that town because I played everywhere. I used to fly. I went to the Aspen School of Music when I was 15, and after that, I started traveling to go from Amarillo, Texas to Houston twice a month for piano lessons. I flew.
Amarillo by morning.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, baby. And so I took, the flights, Brana for Continental, Texas International, whatever.
Right.
And I'm 16 years old by myself and flying to Houston to study with this great teacher there.
Right.
And I would, that's what prepared me really for Juilliard. It really got me, that was the mission. It's those kind of stories. It's spiritual stories of spiritual awakenings. I mean,
right.
I always felt like I was Jewish, and being raised as Southern Baptist, you don't say that. But when I was that same ripe age of 15, 16, I started playing in the temple in Amarillo, and I was playing in church on Sunday and the temple on Friday night.
So, hey, I'm diverse.
Yes. And so it's about that journey too. It's about, because after my stroke, it just came full circle. And
all right. Well, there's a good point. You're not Robinson Crusoe out there when it comes to strokes, right? And the more stress we're going through at the moment, and God knows what, a lot more of us are suffering strokes.
Yeah.
What can you give us advice around this particular topic when it comes to strokes?
Well, my stroke was brought on by unchecked and unmonitored high blood pressure.
Whoa.
And of course, my profession, performing and playing piano in front of, big concerts, it's like not conducive to, a Zen meditation. It's just quite the opposite. And
it's
so
a lot of stress. Yeah, a lot of stress.
And traveling. And 2008 was a huge year. I had to tour in Japan for 6 weeks, and I came back to the States and did several big concerts here in Texas and in California, and we moved from Marin County, from north of San Francisco to Palm Springs, and it was just a cumulative it was too much. And so it's the blood pressure was for me.
Yes, you've got to watch your blood pressure. It's bad. The older we get, we do. And, borderline diabetes, and then your glucose, this and that. It's very difficult. So what's the biggest advice you would give? If someone's going to buy this book, the hope for them, should they have had a stroke, could be what, do you think?
Well, there's nothing that is a devastating, life-changing experience for anyone. And what I had to realize was I could either stop or I could continue. And I had to continue because I had to eat. Okay, it's that simple.
That's right. Survival.
And
Survival. Yeah.
And survival can take care of a lot of things. Can take you keep going with what you're doing, and in some way find a way. If you work in an office, or you are a president of a corporation, or and whatever profession or occupation you have, to find something within that, or something else that will just excite you. See, the problem with me was I had never ever wanted to do anything but play. I didn't want to do anything but play and perform. And when I couldn't, it was like the end of the world. Okay,
I can relate to that.
And I think that I know the moment that it changed was when I listened to a piece of music. I think it was The Mission from the movie score by Ennio Morricone. And I heard this beautiful piece, and Gabriel's Oboe. And I heard it. And I had heard it before I had the stroke, but I heard it in a different way. And it touched me. And that's how I knew I needed to experiment, to go explore those feelings and try to capture that in with one hand on the keyboard.
Right.
And it's my point is something that turns you on, that makes you feel better about life.
Yeah.
Hook into that, because
it's the old simple, what makes you get out of bed in the morning? You've got to have something. And if you believe in that, see, you were put on the planet, you chose to be, I think you put on the planet to live the life you live. So you wanted to be a musician.
Right.
And look what you've done. Bayless Music, of course, at AOL.com. We've been showing that, but people can go to that, Bayless Music. But guest Instagram, John Bayless, he's there. Of course, TikTok. He would have some, and we'll be on TikTok, but this goes all over the place. In fact, this can be reseen as many times as you want on all the popular podcast platforms, long form video and short form on the others, and also all the audio side of it. Of course, you won't see the book, but all the audio side of it, it goes on all the major popular podcast platforms, Apple and Spotify and Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and so on. Deezer, Castbox, Up Your Box, I don't know. There's so many of them, but that's good because it gives you coverage. But I hope you do well with it, mate. Your publisher, he's excited?
Yeah. They hooked me up with you.
Well, I'm very excited because thank you for being the very first guest on our new Nothing Like a Good Book show, my website. The trouble is I've had a website with everything on it, and it's been a bit discombobulated. And people go there to look for this and there to look for that. So it'll be a separate site all on its own, titled Nothing Like a Good Book. And it's all about authors and books, and there's marketing packages and all sorts of wonderful things, movie making, God knows what. And that's going to be that. So this is about for my authors that I interview. And I've interviewed some terrific authors, first uppers. A couple of them have been very successful. And you never know what comes out of it. You never know who hears this and who sees it and who says, you know what, let's have a look at this. This might be a nice little movie or something, you know?
I was so, you know, when one of your peers compliments you and it's sincere and you know it comes from the heart. One of my best friend really in life was a man named Robert Friedman, who I wrote a musical with. We met in the middle 80s and we wrote a show together. He subsequently went on and won a Tony Award for a musical called A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. But I looked up to Robert in the literary sense because he's so smart and he's such a great writer. And when he read the book, he said, John, I have to tell you something. He said, I had no idea that you wrote this way. It's so moving. So when he told me that, it's like, okay, all right, it's worth it.
A closing question for you. Have you done a score at all for a film? Or would you like to?
Oh, yes, I'd love to. And I've done incidental music for Broadway shows, but I've never done a full length. I've never done a
feature
film. I did I have this documentary that's out. It's called Left Alone Rhapsody, and it was made by this filmmaker named Stuart Schulman. And Stuart and I met a long time ago, and I did the score for his thesis film at NYU Film School, right. and we won several awards with that.
Oh, very good.
So
hey, you've done it. You've done everything, my friend.
No.
Where can my viewers and listeners buy this wonderful book?
It's available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, I'm glad Barnes and Noble is still pumping it out there.
Oh yeah,
they do a great job.
Yeah,
and where else? I mean, do you have a site yourself? A lot of the authors.
There's a website, baylessmusic.com.
Yes, the one I've been showing. Then, if you go to that, I can purchase the book.
You can purchase the book.
Okay, all righty.
And it's on all formats: audio, ebook, hardcover, paperback.
Very good. Hardback, softback, ebook, flip book. What's it called? Kindle.
Kindle. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Very good. All right. Well, we got to go. But tell you what, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much.
It's been lovely, and I hope I get to meet you in the flesh one day.
We will.
All right. Thank you, John.
Mark, thank you. Good luck.
All right. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Very, very good.
Thank you.
So how about that, ladies and gentlemen, dedicated to authors, discovering your book, promoting your book, and, of course, selling your book. That's what this is all about, right? Nothing like a good book offers a non-scam, non-over-the-top opportunity for you to really promote and get out there. And once my site is finished, you'll be able to go on and see all sorts of bundles that could suit you, that can be affordable, and you will get what you pay for. And add to that, look, all sorts of things can come up in that world. So I hope you enjoyed today's show. He was a wonderful guest. And I tell you what, I'm looking forward to reading it when I get my hands on it.